Alaskans, wherever you are, welcome to the Must Read Alaska Show. Coming to you from somewhere in Alaska. This is the place where we talk about, you guessed it, Alaska. Where we keep the mainstream media on their toes and where we are standing up for what's right in a world run by leftists. You can find out more by heading over to mustreadalaska.com and also checking out the Must Read Alaska YouTube channel for some really great content. But first, let's get this party started.
Welcome, everybody, to the Must Read Alaska Show. I'm your host, John Quick, coming to you live from somewhere in Alaska. I hope everybody's having an awesome day today. Man, it is a fall day, a crisp day. Leaves are falling. I bet here in the next several weeks, we'll probably see some snow. Hopefully not, knock on wood. But I hope everybody's having a phenomenal week, homecoming week for a lot of folks here on the Kenai Peninsula. And for folks listening around the world, Alaska is experiencing an awesome fall this fall, which is pretty awesome. If you tuned into yesterday's episode, or if you missed yesterday's episode, I want to encourage you to go back and listen to it. Really fun episode. We're going to have a couple episodes today. Today, I get to talk with my friend Derek Black, who is an entrepreneur at heart. He's opened several clothing brands. It's going to be fun to kind of pick his brain on how he went about doing that. So without further ado, Derek, welcome to the Must Read Alaska Show.
Thanks, John. Appreciate it, man. Stoked when you invited me to come on the show. So yeah, I'm glad to be here.
Well, this will be fun. First, talk to me about what kind of got the entrepreneur bug started in deep down in your soul in the first place.
Yeah, dude. So man, for like my whole life, I've always been like a creator at heart. And I remember even back at a recent visit a year or two ago to my parents' place, just seeing all the little things that I created as a kid, like all crazy little things. I was constantly just thinking about things I could design and build and problems to solve, that kind of thing. So when I grew up these days, probably about a decade ago or so, I just started dreaming about, man, what could I do that'd be different, that could push forward some of the passions that I have, some of the causes that I have. And I saw different other types of apparel companies that were out there. And some of them were just general, like adventure, outdoor wear type apparel stuff. Some of them, of course, were like the Alaska type apparel. And then there was some mission-based, cause-based apparel that was raising awareness for things. And at that time, and in my whole story, one of the causes that I'm passionate about is addiction recovery. And I myself have come out of a pornography addiction in my background, and I've been set free from that and just experienced a lot of freedom from that. Have done a lot of work as well as in the recovery space from people coming out of also substance addiction. And so I sort of brought those two concepts together, and I was like, okay, I'm going to start an apparel company. It's the first one that I've done, and ended up calling it Choose Recovery, RCVRY. And that company was all and still is about raising awareness for addiction recovery, and utilizing apparel to do that. And it's been amazing just to see throughout the years, now going on a little bit over 5 years, that brand has been established, and the impact that it has made throughout all 50 states. It's been amazing. And I've started a few other brands since then as well, but that's kind of how things kicked off for me.
That's awesome. So talk to me a little bit about, this isn't stuff we're taught in school. Most people that kind of learn how to do this online entrepreneur world, they're spending their own money, they're learning from their own mistakes. Talk to me a little bit about what it was like to start that, from figuring out designs and logos and websites and ads and Facebook and social media. What was it like? Was there victories, stumbles? I'm sure there was a little both.
Yeah, for sure, dude. It is a challenge, no doubt, to start. One of the things that I look back on myself 7 or 8 years ago that there wasn't, that I wish there was a simple pathway, somebody or some group. I never found them anyway back then, to help provide a simplistic way of like, how do you start? What's the difference between, even from the beginning, sole proprietorship versus LLC, how to establish an EIN, how to establish business credit, branding. I discovered that I really enjoy branding, figuring out what's the problem you're solving, what's your story behind it, building an audience that's going to know, like, and trust you online, how to do that, which platform to use, website platforms as well. I use Shopify. I've used StanStore in the past as well. I've used ClickFunnels. I've used WordPress before. I've used Squarespace. There's a lot of different, all that stuff is a sea of things that you can get lost in. Organic marketing through the social channels that are out there, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, TikTok, YouTube, etc. Long form, short form, selling in your DMs, attraction marketing, user generated content, all these types of things. And that's organic. Then you get into paid, and there's a whole algorithm for paid marketing. Got into the world of Meta, Facebook and Instagram ads. I've dabbled in a little bit in YouTube in the past, dabbled in having my own podcast in the past as well, and in TikTok as well for a bit. And through it all, just the bread and butter of the marketing being on Meta's platforms. And that was a challenge for sure. Ended up bringing the Choose Recovery brand to get 6 figures a year and a half in, which was really cool. But to do that, ended up spending, now it's been over 6 figures of ad spend with Facebook, just for them to shut me down repeatedly. And ended up in the past, them completely shutting down my ad account and being with reps after reps after reps trying to figure it out. That almost killed the brand completely, that particular one. Ended up figuring out a way to come back slowly, but not to the momentum that I had at the beginning. Email marketing is king as well. People talk about that. Email, really? Email? But you own those addresses, and to be able to retarget and market and establish and build those relationships with your clientele is super, super key and important. So those are a lot of the things I learned throughout the years. I've spent hours and hours scouring YouTube for videos on how to do all this stuff from scratch. Spent thousands of dollars, probably. I know it's been at least over $10,000 with different programs and different agencies, a few coaching type things that I've paid for in the past just to get to where I knew what I was doing. And then a lot of it's just the grit of experimentation of figuring it out yourself. So lots and lots of effort in that for sure.
That's awesome. So somewhere along the lines, you're like, man, I should open up a second clothing brand. Talk to me about, you entrepreneurs, they seem to always be doing something different. I can attest to that. What was that experience like? What was the thought process like of opening up that second clothing brand?
Yeah, so a couple things went into that. One, I was pretty frustrated with the recovery brand of having my wings clipped by Meta. And the best I could tell on that basically is because we talked about, I had talked on that specifically on human trafficking and alcohol drug addiction, and those were considered social justice issues of the day. And I tried to work that out with Meta, and it's just, long story short, it was a challenge. So I ended up, okay, I want to do something different. And I love Alaska. I love the outdoors. And so it's like, okay, I wanted to start an outdoor apparel type activewear company. But how do you do that? There's a sea of other Alaska brands. There's a sea of other outdoor activewear brands as well. And so I was like, oh, we're just gonna roll. And when I say we, me and my boys specifically, we love to do stuff in the outdoors. I've raised them doing so much in the outdoors. And I was doing some stuff up north of Anchorage, up near the valley, in an area called Hatcher Pass, Archangel Valley, hiking up in there. There's some beautiful, epic spots. And just challenging my boys, teaching them about life. And this thought came to me, seeing a ridgeline up there and seeing all the effort that it takes to make those ridgelines and hike up false summit after false summit. And then you get up, you're looking for that summit. And it hit me. I was like, okay, the outdoors is like this, but also life is like this. I'm constantly reminding myself, I'm teaching my boys this as well, to look for those summits in life. But life is not in the summits, life is in those valleys and on the ascent. And the struggle is where the adventure is. And you persevere through that, and the summit is so much sweeter when you get to that point. So it all came together, and it was like, okay, I'm gonna call it Looking for Summits. Sketched out the logo after a ridgeline up in that area that we were hiking in, and that brand was established in 2022. And it's been all about it's kind of experimented through the years, from just pure Alaska type stuff to adventure type sayings to actual active wear and outdoor wear type stuff. And so the future, I have a lot of hope and excitement for the future of that brand, but going intentionally a little bit slower with that one, so that way it doesn't end up experiencing some of the hardship that the recovery brand did.
So show folks this hat. I'm sure they see it. I'm going to do a giveaway, folks. This hat is under his Looking for Summits brand. It's a really awesome hat, and we're going to do a giveaway. So the first maybe 4 or 5 people to email me, john@mustreadalaska.com, JOHN at mustreadalaska.com, and say I want that hat. I'm going to send you one of these hats. We're going to send you one of these hats. So first 5 people to do that are going to get a free hat, and we'll send along a little information to check out his website and all that kind of stuff. But talk to me a little bit about Derek. Talk to me a little bit about, you don't. This isn't a brand that's like siloed, meaning this is a brand that you're deeply involved in. I think I remember one time I ran into you at the airport, and you were about to like go hike some international mountains with your kids. Like, so this is something that is kind of deeply embedded within you, adventure, hiking, all those kinds of things. How important is that to have a brand like that that's authentic, where you're not just like making up stuff to sell a
Yeah.
widget, but it's actually a part of who you are?
Yeah, it is exactly. It's who I am as a person, and that's really what I want represented in any brand that I'm associated with. And the Looking for Summits brand has been just that. It's like a lifestyle that I live with my boys. Hiked with them all over Alaska. The one that you're remembering there was Patagonia.
Gotta go.
Brought them down to Patagonia and had an epic hike with them. And I was so proud of let's see, how old is he now? He was 11, 12 in that range when we did Patagonia, and just seeing him come from that whiny kid. Don't get me wrong, he still whines. I'm still working on that with him, but I'm I'm proud of him. Like, he's growing, and when he's out in the outdoors, he used to just like hate it and not like it at all. And now, just from teaching and training him, like about that, and so many life lessons out there. It's just been so cool to see him rise to the occasion. And my older as well is just a freaking pack horse mountain man. And he's 15. And so it's just I've raised them doing stuff out there. And so for the brand to have that passion behind it, that's what I want to stand for. This says mountain culture. That's what it stands for, MTNCLTR. And the idea with that mountain culture is like exactly what I just described, to live that lifestyle. That mountains exist for a reason, I like to say. Mountains in life and mountains in the outdoors. They're there for a reason, and they challenge us. We can ignore them, we can go around them, but the character and the adventure is found by seeking them. And so that's the mountain culture that I seek to live and breathe and pass down to my kids. And I want everybody else that buys anything from Looking for Summits to feel that and embrace that lifestyle as well.
That's awesome. So there's going to be folks out there that are like, man, they've always wanted to start something and they just haven't quite pulled the trigger yet. What kind of advice would you give the folks that are kind of teetering on that edge of, maybe they've been wanting to start something for 10 years, 20 years, right? It takes a lot of guts to step off that ledge and do
Yeah.
something. What kind of advice would you give to folks?
Yeah, totally. I think it's an amazing thing to start and to just take action on. I think that's the biggest thing, is just being able to take action. It's a dream that you've had, a thought that you've had for a long time. There's a ton of education, a ton of free stuff that's out there on YouTube and things like that that can get you started. Basically, in a nutshell, the 3 things that I would do, and by the way, I offer all of this as well on a new initiative that I'm doing. And you can find that as well online at Limitless Culture. And the culture, we kind of do the same thing that you see on the hat here at CLTR. So Limitless CLTR for culture. You find that on the gram, mainly on Instagram. And what I'm trying to do with that is answer the question you just asked me, is to help myself 7 years ago of where to start, and to break down from all the noise of the gurus and everything out there. How do you just start something? So on that particular platform, we offer a course with some coaching and some downloads as well that will help people. But specifically to answer that question here, I would tell people to figure out what is the problem that you want to solve in the marketplace. So identify what is that problem. For me, with the recovery brand, it was raising awareness, breaking down stigma. For that mission, for Looking for Summits, it's embodying and proclaiming this lifestyle. of mountains exist for a reason and embracing that. And the problem I'm solving is championing that cause and that motivation mindset through an apparel brand. And so one is figuring out, okay, what's the problem that I want to solve in this world, and what's the solution that I bring to the table. Two would be branding, I guess. When you think about that, coming up with a name. Whenever I think of, okay, what am I going to call this thing? Is it Derek's T-shirt shop, or something more clever than that? And so I'm tying that to the problem I'm solving. I'm looking at my avatar or my ideal customer out there, which I also have to identify. And then I'm looking at the marketplace. I'm looking at, okay, this is going to be online. So is the .com address available for the name that I'm thinking? Is it available on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, whatever I want to grow that thing into? And so that's kind of in the idea of branding. And then at that point, we start building a social proof audience. So we start jumping on whichever platform, usually just choose one so you don't get overwhelmed, and start building a little bit of rapport with people through reels and that kind of content. At the same time you're doing that, you look at, what am I going to do as far as a platform goes? Am I going to start something? I love Shopify. It works amazing for starting apparel type businesses, and something that is a really easy entry point. You can do two different things. You can look up your local screen printer shop. Most communities have them. You can just Google local screen printers in my town, and you can go down to them and call them up, or go down to them. I like to do that face to face with people, a little more small town feel. Use some of them in Soldotna to get the brands going down there. And you can go to them and just be like, hey, here's what I want to do, figure out their pricing structure, what it's going to cost you, and figure out how much you're going to sell it for. And then you manually figure out how to take the pictures, but there's a lot of apps that can help you with that. Take flat lay pictures, or get your friends and loved ones to help model for you, that kind of stuff. Or you can go a totally different approach to go in something called print on demand. And there's companies out there. The main one that I use that I absolutely love is called Printful.com. And it ties right into your Shopify store, which is another thing I really love about it. And there's a sweet thing with this, is that you can get print on demand stuff. It's a DTG, direct to garment printing process, a little bit different than the screen printing. But the beautiful thing is, you design their stuff on their website, ties into your website. And when your customer comes to you through your social storytelling on your own Instagram, they come to your website, they see the product, they buy it, and then Printful, the print on demand company, literally prints the t-shirt or hoodie or hat on the fly and directly sends it to your customer, and you don't have to do anything about it. Now, they take a little bit larger of a cut, so you make a little less money that way, but it's a lot less work on the front end for your part. So that's kind of a lot, kind of a mouthful, but from the problem you solve, solution, to branding, to storytelling, to social media, to the website platform, and to a couple avenues, whether it's local screen printing and doing it yourself, or printing on demand. That's probably how I would recommend getting your feet wet and testing the waters. And that's all what I teach and stuff at the Limitless Culture stuff that we do.
Nice. Talk to me a little bit. Let's kind of go a little deeper with what your thoughts are with, people having these smartphones, right? When I was growing up, I was born in the early 80s, and if you wanted to have clothing or advertising or anything like that, you had to go through these huge agencies and have huge buys. And you'd have to, if you wanted somebody to film a commercial, you'd have to go hire a film crew and
Yeah.
cost 200, 300,000 bucks. Now we have this thing called a smartphone. Everybody has one. Do you think that having these kind of devices offer a huge comparative advantage, compared to what folks had 20, 30 years ago?
Definitely. Yeah. There's a ton of apps that are available out there to help in the video creation or photography editing process. Whether you're an Android or an Apple user out there, the cameras on these things today are amazing. Just to be able to take product photography in, whether it's in a studio, whether it's you mock it up in your own living room or your own house, your garage, flat lay on your floor. You can get exterior lighting, just opening your windows. You can buy on Amazon, these little lights and stuff for 20, 30 bucks as well, to help enhance things. And there's all sorts of helps and stuff online on YouTube that you can Google on YouTube about how to do that kind of stuff as well. And we try to teach some of that also on our Limitless Culture stuff. and be able to use stuff like Canva. I mean, Canva is amazing to be able to go in that app and just type Instagram post, Instagram story, TikTok, whatever, and it comes up with all these templates. And you just drag, drop what you like, what looks good in there. And whether it's an organic post or whether it's going to be a paid post, you can even type in on Canva, Instagram ad, Facebook ad, and it'll come up with templates, video as well, not just the pictures anymore, but the video templates as well that Canva has. And so, yeah, we have a huge benefit today at these smartphones and being able to have these types of applications to bring our stories to life. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, that's what it's about, and that's what sells. Is you're connecting with people, not just people see right through the gimmicky stuff that's just trying to make an extra buck, or get rich quick type stuff. Like, but we want to tell a story that actually matters, that connects with people because it's real people. I've heard it said from someone that I know that marketing is with real people, treating real people like human beings because that's who they are, and being able to showcase that in everything that we do through these little devices that we all have in our hands, in our pockets, is amazing. And on the advertising side, on that too, is freaking crazy. Now that has money that we have to attach to it for ads. I remember sitting down with you actually at a coffee shop up in Nikiski one time. We ran into you and we were chatting, me and you, about just ads and stuff on Instagram, that platform, back, I don't know, what was that, 2 or 3 years ago. And it's so crazy, dude. Like, you can, if you know how to run the business ad manager right, that Meta gives us access to, you can build an audience, build data, retarget that data, build lookalike audiences. And they'll take a lot of your money too if you don't know what you're doing. But from that, you can access, like, one story with the recovery brand. There was somebody who was literally getting ready to end their life. They were substance abuse, addiction stuff, and they're sitting literally in the West Keys of Florida, right, way out there in one of these islands, and they're literally about ready to end their life, and they open their phone and they see a Facebook ad that pops up for Choose Recovery, my brand that I was running with pretty hard back then, and they see a tank top that says "Never Give Up," and they're inspired to never give up. They ordered the thing, shipped it to them, and they send this to me like 2 weeks later, this note just encouraging me because it encouraged them to keep going and fighting one more day. I'm like, that's crazy. Like, you're able to reach someone like that based in Alaska just from organic or paid social media, all from a smartphone. It's insane.
Pretty crazy.
Yeah.
So, what's the best way for folks to find you and your brands? Tell us all that, all those details, websites, social handles, and all that kind of stuff.
Sure, yeah. So my personal one is Derek's Epic Adventures. So you can find me on Instagram, is the main spot where I hang out and live. Derek's Epic Adventures. And then you'll find the other links there as well. But I have my brands also on that platform. But Choose Recovery is there, Choose RCVRY. And you'll find that on Instagram, chooserecovery.com. Looking for Summits, same thing, Looking for Summits. And that's also on all the platforms. And you'll find that lookingforsummits.com. And Limitless Culture is the one that we're doing, teaching and training people everything that I just mentioned. And that's at Limitless, CLTR for culture, Limitless Culture.
Nice. Well, any last minute thoughts here before we head off? 30 minutes here has gone by in a flash.
Yeah, it's amazing how fast it flies by. I would just say, no matter who you are out there listening, dream big. Don't ever be afraid of those dreams that you have within you, that God's given you, and you can accomplish so much. Take action on those dreams, and it doesn't matter where you're from. I don't care how small the town is. I don't care what you've done in your past, the insecurities you have, or the fact that you have no money. Like, if you have a dream within you, you can take action and you can do something. And I believe in you. And it's just amazing to see the potential that is in all of us if we take action and see what we can accomplish in life.
Amen to that. Well, folks listening in, if you just caught the tail end here, I want to encourage you to go back and listen to the whole thing. You'll get to hear Derek's story about, what it really looks like to build your own brand, multiple brands, and experience success and speed bumps and all those things along the way. We'll put all the links Derek mentioned here in the podcast description. I would encourage you to go out and check those out. For folks that want this really epic looking hat that Derek is wearing, the first 5 people to email me, John, John, at mustreadalaska.com, we're going to send you one of these hats. So you're going to want to get on your email and send those quick, because those emails will go quick. So make sure to do that. For folks listening in, if you want to help support Must Read Alaska, we'd love to have you sponsor the show. You can also go to mustreadalaska.com. On the right-hand side there's a little donate button. Every $5, $10, $100 helps keep the lights on here at Must Read Alaska. And we're going to have some more guests this week, so make sure to tune in for that. Until next time, I'm John Quick from somewhere in Alaska. Thanks, Derek, for joining us.
Thank you.